Good morning and welcome to the Digital Desk. I'm your host, Sarah Good. Today we're going to be speaking about Norfolk's NATO headquarters. Now, Norfolk NATO Festival has been going on for years in the United States. It's one of the longest running festivals here in Hampton Roads, but we're also going to dive in a special anniversary. It's the 75-year anniversary this April of NATO. We have General Badia here today who's going to speak with us about the meaning of that and also the upcoming summit in Washington, D.C. General Badia, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Sarah, good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining the Digital Desk in our live format here at WAVY. You know, this festival, it's such a highlight here in Hampton Roads, and NATO is such an important piece, obviously, to the community and to the work here, and especially with our military influence in this area, it holds this really special meaning to those that both work in our armed forces, but also those who work at NATO. I just wanted to start by saying, 75 years, this is a historic anniversary. What is that meaning to you, especially this week leading up to the Norfolk NATO Festival?
Well, Sarah, as you alluded to already, so 75 years of NATO, it's the most successful alliance in modern history, if you will, celebrating 75 years since its birth and foundation back in April 1949. But at the same time, if I'm informed correctly, it's the 68th Norfolk Festival, so close to 70 years at the same time. And there you see already, if you go back in history, how much that is aligned, how much NATO, how much international military, the alliance, the partners are really bound to the area, Greater Hampton Roads. So this is really something. This is what we are all looking forward to. This is what we are all excited about. And it's really about, celebrating with all the people, Greater Hampton Roads, and showing the appreciation of NATO and having NATO's home in this area.
And with your career yourself, and just to give some background, so your military career includes serving in the German Air Force Command Staff with the Ministry of Defense, and so much more. And that is, I know, just a little bit of a couple bites of what your whole biography is. But how important is it to you, as somebody who has served, as somebody who's been a part of NATO, to have these moments of celebration and sort of community surrounding this?
Yeah, I couldn't show more appreciation, and I could not be more excited. And I tell you why. It's in my 40th year of service. And everything I am, I owe to a great deal to the United States. Why? Because back in 1986, I came to the US and I was trained in Shepherd Air Force Base to become a fighter pilot. And this is basically where all the foundation was laid for my career. So whenever I come to the US, and with this 3-year tour I'm serving now in the US, it's greatest appreciation for me. A dream really became true, and this is why I'm so excited and really showing that, and I'm so thankful to the US and all the citizens of the US for that.
Well, congratulations to your 40 years, and what a special connection that, it started back in the US, and here you are leading in the US as well. Going into this week, look, it's no surprise to anyone watching. There's a lot of conflict going on across the globe, a lot of conflict that seems to be coming. How important do you think that makes this celebration really in this time even?
Yeah, that's also something of utmost importance, because it shows the strengths, it shows the coherence of the alliance, and it shows that the nations, those 32 nations, as we are, you all know, in March this year, we got Sweden joining NATO as the 32nd member of NATO, which is also, it shows the great success, and that it's really, NATO is alive. NATO is something standing for where, if it's democracy, rule of law, freedom, all those things. And this is something we celebrate. This is something we show. This is something we are proud of. And this is what we would like to already also discuss, but not only discuss, also celebrate with the community here.
Right. And you mentioned Sweden, with that 32nd edition, it also seems to show that it's still growing. And I know that that is going to be a part of what we talk about in leading up to the NATO summit. Before we get there, though, is there anything in particular, I guess, that you hope this week that people obviously come out to the flag raising, to the events in downtown Norfolk, and be a part of this community?
Uh, this is, of course, and all I can say, please all out there, come, join with us, celebrate with us, get in discussions, because it's so important at the same time, not only recognizing 75th birthday or 75th birthday, it's at the same time really getting behind the scenes, understanding better what we stand for. And you said that before. What I see is, as in business terms talking, if you will, that's one of the greatest business models in the world you can have. It's a win-win situation for all the nations in there, for the free Western world. So this is something I would like just to point out to everyone, and just can tell it, but say again, come and celebrate with us, discuss with us.
And if you're just joining now, or you have not heard of the Norfolk NATO Festival, if you're new to the area or visiting, just so you know, it is free and open on Saturday to join. You can see different countries, coming together and showcasing, what NATO is about. Leading up now until the next few months, you all are in preparation for the NATO summit that actually will be here on U.S. soil in Washington, D.C. How is that preparation going? Are there certain things that you all are particularly working on, maybe in that addition to Sweden? I know that's a big piece of this, is they're going to join their first summit.
Yes, it's 9th till 11th of July. It's up in Washington. This is where NATO will convene its for the 75th anniversary and birthday of NATO, where we will hold our summit. And as you said, if you look at the origin out of 1949, when NATO was founded back in April that time by 12 nations that time, now we are 32. And it was Washington. It's the Washington Treaty. So it's appropriate and well received doing it in Washington, celebrating now with 32 nations. Preparations are going well. And, and you alluded to before, because now the world is changing. It's multipolar. There are so many challenges out there that we are facing. And this is really something also where we are preparing, because you always have to ask yourself from a military instrument of power point of view, as NATO is, even so it's, of course, it's a political organization, but the instrument NATO has, is military. And you have to ask yourself throughout, are we fit for purpose? Are we aware of what's happening? Are we changing, transforming into the right direction? All those questions, besides all the celebrations ongoing in Washington in July, of course, heads of state will discuss this. Where are we going? Is it the right way to do it? So with all those crises ongoing, and this, we are looking very much forward to that. And I can tell you, yes, we are prepared for that. And the way the strategic concept of NATO is going, all those things will be discussed again, but we are prepared.
And I want to say, for anyone who doesn't know, the NATO summit, it's going to be in Washington, D.C., July 9th to 11th. And it was in Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken, last year. So now we're moving it to the U.S. And it does change. Is that true? Every year in a different place in the NATO countries?
Yeah. Overall, it's in the recent history, the summits have occurred more often. It's not necessary that it's held every year, but as the world as it is right now, and really, and just also revisiting what you're doing, where you are going from a heads of state point of view. This is why it's happened right now on a regular basis. And yes, you're right that the main changes 2 years ago, it was in Madrid. Last year, it was in Vilnius, in Lithuania. So it's in Washington. And then we will go to the Netherlands next year. So there you see, there is a clear plan forward. And if you will, it's also important to realign yourself, realign the nations with your policies. And it's of utmost importance to strengthen the cohesion of the alliance.
And, on your website, at least, it does talk about some of the mainstays of what the conference will be, as in meetings at the highest level possible, talking about alliance evolution. That is a big topic that I think is also in the news right now, and where we're going. Also a time for new policy and new members. That's where, Sweden comes in, and I guess even Finland, even being now in their second year of being a part of the NATO alliance. Now, how do those pieces fit in, I guess? I mean, the evolution and sort of figuring that out. This year seems to be one of the most controversial, both in U.S. politics, but also so much happening abroad. what is your role in that, just trying to, push NATO forward and evolve sort of in this time of trouble?
Well, from an Allied command transformation point of view, so our headquarters, maybe just a quick glance on what our task is. As I alluded to before, NATO, most and foremost, is a political organization. And of course, within, you have a military instrument of power. You have two strategic commands, one in Europe, in Belgium. They take care of the operations ongoing, while our command's task is really thinking about the future. How does NATO have to transform? What will be the forms of the conflicts we might see 2040, 2050? And just give you two broad examples. How does space evolve? What capabilities you need to have in space at the same time? How does the cyberspace evolve? So all those things, all those questions we are looking at. And as you can imagine, working for 32 nations, this is where you need to bring all those thoughts together, discuss it with nations. And as you go forward, then the nations have the right capabilities in order, if it should happen, to defend the alliance overall and the nations within.
And that's really interesting. And I think, cyber security, as well as talking about space and all of those topics, obviously we've seen the evolution of certain technologies in the last few years and how that sort of maybe will impact warfare or at least, conflict going forward.
This is absolutely right, because what I give you just a little insight on what we are seeing, how we are developing. In the past, we had more or less your military domains. What do I mean by that? In the air domain, in the land domain, in the sea domain, it was military dominated, and you had a very good feel and view how things are moving forward and what you develop. Now we're having new domains, like I said, it's space and cyber. And if you look at that, they are at the same time, as they are of highest interest for the military, they're at the same time as interesting for the civil world. So you have total different mechanisms, how you coordinate, how you use space, how you use cyber, how you use infrastructure in space. So there are so many new things on the way forward, because at the end of the day, the question is, how do you use all those instruments you have out there and the infrastructure you're having out there to really make it work for the military in order to, at the end of the day, seeking for the advantage, having the advantage in case something's happening.
Absolutely. And I think that is really interesting, especially in the 75th year, to see that how that evolution has changed, since the beginning and what it's looked like. I guess we'll see, following the July conference, obviously, what you all land on and sort of what the main decisions are sort of out of that.
This is exactly what it is. To a good part, this is why we have those yearly summits at the same time. As I said before, with the speed of change, as things are happening, you have to do some benchmarking at the same time, because on one hand, the policies, the strategies are set in place, but at the same time, the military has to keep up with it. You have to develop certain things, and this is why the summits are also so important, to see what has been decided, where we want to go, are we there, are we really reaching the goals we have agreed to. And the next thing is, of course, what do we see? What's next? What's on the horizon? How do we go forward with that? And as I said, there will be a lot of talk about the new domains, especially when it comes to space, cyber, when it comes to missile defense. You heard all of those things with the new threats evolving worldwide. So you have to think about those things. And my say and our say is always, don't be worried, be prepared. And this is what it's all about.
Well, thank you for explaining, what is going to happen at the summit and the preparation that's taking place. It seems from what you've said today, really the theme is evolution, how you're sort of going to adapt and evolve to things happening, but there is a move forward, obviously, and there is a plan forward.
I definitely can assure you, and this is also a good part of our work here, there is a plan, there's a way forward, and we are going strong.
Well, General Badilla, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to speak about this morning, but from our standpoint, it's great to hear both about the Norfolk NATO Festival, but as well about the plans moving forward this summer, especially in this significant year for you all, but also the globe. So thank you so much for giving us so much of your time.
Thank you much again. And like I said, and to all to your viewers and listeners out there for us, thank you much for having us in the US. It's great to be part of the community here, and we're really looking forward to engaging with the people in the greater Hampton Road area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.